Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the entertainment headquarters and it's review time. And the film I'm about to look at is a one that's been out from the beginning of July, but I've now finally had an opportunity to watch it. And it's time to talk about it. It's a film that is part of an 80s classic franchise, a much loved classic franchise. As you know, we're now in the era of legacy sequels, or the era of reboots, or the era of the studios need to make some money, so we'll house some money at an already well-known like franchise and see if it sticks and we can, get some money, because lately Hollywood is struggling at the box office and a lot of films that they thought were going to do well aren't doing as well as they hoped, and they're now relying on already established, content or franchises instead of coming up with something original. And this film is a much loved classic, and it's part of a great franchise that I really like. And of course, I'm talking about none other than Beverly Hills Cop. And here we are with Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Now, what I can say about this is it's a film that, when I first heard about it and I heard it was going to Netflix, I rolled my eyes and thought, here we are. We've got another Roadhouse on our hands. We've got another Coming to America on our hands. But I'm quite happy to say it's better than all of those. And in fact, I really, really enjoyed this. So let's get on and talk a little bit about it, and then I'll give you my thoughts. So first and foremost, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F is a 2024 American action comedy film directed by Mark Molloy and written by Will Beal, Tom Gorman Can, and Kevin Etten, from a story by Beale, serving as the fourth installment in the Beverly Hills Cop film series and a sequel to Beverly Hills Cop 3, which was disappointing. And I thought they'd ended the series on a low point, but they've regained some steam with this particular film. Eddie Murphy, who also produces, reprises his role as Axel Foley, with Judge Nielsen, John Aston, Paul Reiser, and Bronson Pinnar reprising their roles from previous films in the franchise, while Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Taylor Page, and Kevin Bacon star in new roles. So, and the plot follows. Axel Foley returns to Beverly Hills after his daughter's life is threatened and works with old pals John Taggart and Billy Rosewood to undercover a conspiracy. So that's the plot. I don't really want to reveal too much spoilers, but what I will tell you straight off the bat is that when, like I said before, we heard Eddie Murphy was coming back in this role, I got very, very worried because, he had already tried to crack, bringing back a previously much loved movie with Coming to America 2. And even though I didn't enjoy the third Beverly Hills Cop film as much as the first two, I thought, just leave it be, leave it in the past. But, the thing with this is it's probably the only legacy sequel or return to a much loved classic franchise that I can honestly say I really enjoyed. The other one was Top Gun Maverick. Now, why I love this movie is for a number of reasons. First and foremost, the plot of this movie, it's something very much like the Bad Boys Ride or Die plot. It's very kind of much predictable. It feels like an 80s classic plot. It has all those 80s classic tropes in there that we love and enjoy. And so it has very similarities to Bad Boys Ride or Die in terms of how they made Axel Foley like they did with the characters that Will Smith and Martin Lawrence played, that they know he's an older cop. They know he still thinks and works like the same cop he was way back in the 80s and the early 90s, but he's now having to navigate, the 2020s or the 2010s. He's having to navigate his style of being a cop in a modern world, and it really works very well and effective in this film. And the same goes with the other casts of Rosewood and Taggart. They too, are very much old world, old school cops living in a modern world in Beverly Hills, trying to navigate a new way of, times, and a new way of how the police force is being run. And it was really fun to see Eddie Murphy come back and be the same Axel Foley, but in this new modern world. And the great thing is, even though he is, the same Axel Foley, he is older and he does, come across older, but he's still a joy to watch. And it's all due to the performances of Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy has not missed a beat. For a long time, he left the world of, I would say, adult comedy action movies, and he became a comedy family actor movie. He did a lot of family movies, the Dr. Doolittles, the Haunted Mansion. He had young kids. He kind of changed, for a while on the kind of movies he wanted to star in and produce. And now that he's probably a lot older, his kids are now older, he's now trying to go back to things that he's well known for. And when he has things like this, like, with when they brought back Bad Boys, when, they're talking about bringing back Lethal Weapon, when they were bringing back Top Gun, you have some actors and stories and, films where they succeed at doing it, and there's been some real disasters. I always go back to Indiana Jones. That's kind of basically like put a bad taste in my mouth with Indiana Jones. They should have left it after Crystal Skulls. And then you have Tom Cruise, who came back in Top Gun Maverick, and he nailed it. And it's not just through the performances of Tom Cruise in Maverick or the performances of Eddie Murphy in this film, or the assembled cast, because the assembled cast in this is fantastic. You have the original cast back at the majority of the ones that we know, but having Kevin Bacon is kind of, this other cop who you can tell, but there's something about him, and I predicted he could potentially be the bad guy or one of the bad guys by the end of this movie, and he did not disappoint. And he's a veteran actor. He's somebody that, you know know grew up as an actor in the 80s, and he knows the style of the 80s films, the 80 kind of bad guy role, and he nails it. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt in this, he was fantastic. He wasn't annoying, because I thought bringing in a younger cast member is a younger rookie cop. I was expecting him to either be in the way of Eddie Murphy's Axel Foley and really like maybe hammer the plot a bit or hammer the scenery with Eddie Murphy, but he actually works really quite well with Eddie Murphy. He's not annoying, and he plays quite an important role in this when he comes to navigate Axel Foley, especially with the new added cast member of his daughter. So his daughter is in this, played by Taylor Page, and the plot really is a mixture of him wanting to be a good cop and solve this conspiracy, but also try to bond and navigate his relationship with his now, grown up daughter, who he's been estranged from years past. And that works really well. But going back to what I was originally going to say, is you have some successful films in these legacy sequels, like Tom Cruise with uh, Top Gun Maverick, and this works really well. This works really well as a legacy sequel, and it really is puts the Beverly Hills Cop franchise back in the minds of its audience and shows you why we love these films. And why this works and why Top Gun Maverick isn't just the amazing and returning performances of Eddie Murphy or Tom Cruise. It's due to the amazing writing. The writing in this I thought was really well thought out. I thought this film, it really, really knew what kind of film it was. They knew it was an action comedy. They knew it was going to be kind of throwback to the 1980s. They knew it was going to have that kind of humor and style, and the filmography in this is fantastic. You feel like this was a film that was locked up in a vault somewhere from the 1980s, an undiscovered sequel to a franchise that's much loved, that they've finally found, and they've now decided to edit together and put it together and put it out there for the audience many years later. And I found this worked really well. The fact that it has, the same style, the same look about it. It just feels like it's come from that time period, even though it is set in our time period, the current, the modern times in 2024. It felt very much, it fit straight into where the last film let off, even though it's decades later. And it's due to the amazing writing, the amazing cinematography, the performance of the amazing cast. And it's a thoroughly enjoyable plot and story about conspiracies. The daughter gets wrapped up with this criminal who, is being investigated and is ready to go into trial. And then you've got these bad cops that are trying to shut her down and scare her away. Then Axel Foley, her father, comes in, and he decides to investigate the whole thing, and he undiscovers it's a much deeper, darker conspiracy than is led to believed, and there's bad cops involved. Taggart is now he is now like the chief of police, but he's kind of lost his way a bit. But he's still the same Taggart that we all know and love. And obviously, the Rosewood, he doesn't have much to do in this as much as Taggart and Axel Foley, but he is involved in trying to uncover this plot, and he disappears for quite some time throughout the plot of the movie. And it was great when you finally get Axel Foley, Taggart, and Rosemount together, and you see the final, end scene and the sequences that transpire there. Great action throughout this film as well. The great thing about the action throughout this movie is that it's majority of it, and I would say most, if not all of it, is practical. And that is very rare of this, day and age. I'm gonna go back to Bad Boy Ride or Die. That had a very, had another conspiracy plot, a plot that needed to be undiscovered. You have, Will Smith's character, Martin Lawrence's character, that get mixed in it all, and then are on the run themselves. But that very much felt like a 90s era movie that fit perfectly into the previous movies, and this does the same thing. They're very similar in parallel on how these movies work, but I would say with this particular movie, Beverly Hills Axel F, this works a lot better. And it's all down to, like I said, great story, great script, amazing cast, and of course the highlight is seeing Eddie Murphy back in the saddle as Axel Foley, and he delivers the one-liners. The comedy is on point. I chuckled throughout the majority of this movie. The action, like I say, is on point. Fantastic action. Really, really thoroughly enjoyed the majority of this movie. And I believe this movie cost over 150 million to make. And I think it's money well spent. But I believe, we're in the era of streaming. We know streaming services need content. But I generally believe that Netflix have missed the ball when it comes to Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, because I generally believe this should have been a theatrical release. Just like, they took the risk of putting Bad Boys, Raid or Die out there in the theatres, which people didn't have much faith in. They thought, right, they're bringing back Bad Boys again. The trailers made it look really good, and I think that was the killer point for those films. But when the reviews came in, the reviews were really solid, and when they got to see the film in theatres, it was really, really enjoyable. And it was just another great, cop action film. And this is very much along the same lines as Bad Boys, Raid or Die, where it's another fantastic entry in the Beverly Hills Cop franchise. Is it the best of the franchise? No, the first one will always be the best because that was like the breakout role for Eddie Murphy. It just was an amazing surprise. It came out there and it really shocked the world with how good it was and how good Eddie Murphy was. And this, I would definitely say, like I said with Bad Boys, Ride or Die, this is better than the third Beverly Hills Cop, just like Bad Boys, Ride or Die was better than the third Bad Boys, which was Bad Boys for Life. So it's it's very strange but a wonderful surprise that the fourth entry of two buddy cop movies or cop action movies, the fourth entry is come out there with a bang and being a beautiful surprise and really highlighted how good these franchises can still be if they're well written, well acted, and the cinematography is put together well. And that's what this did for both of those films as well as this. So when it comes to legacy sequels outside of Top Gun Maverick, this is by far my favorite because I love the original Beverly Hills Cop. I like the second one. The third one, like I said, left a bad taste in my mouth because I thought, that ended what you thought was the ending of the franchise on a sour note. It wasn't terrible, but it could have been much better, and this makes up for the third one in abundance. And like I say, the newer cast members were great. Kevin Bacon steals the show as the sleazy kind of, you know, bad cop. And you have, Gordon Joseph Levitt, who just, he's great and he didn't annoy us. I thought he was going to be like the younger cop that's going to come in and try and to be the new star and they spin it off into this, a spin-off franchise. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they brought him in to level out the plot and to level out the story and to level out his relationship with Axel Foley and his daughter's character. The weakest part or the weakest character in this is the daughter character. Even though I understood what they were trying to do with the estranged daughter storyline and Axel Foley trying to bond with his daughter, also while trying to undercover like this plot or this conspiracy and then protect that all at the same time. So that worked, and it's worked badly or worked worse in other films. It doesn't hinder this film. It doesn't, stop this film from still being enjoyable. I still enjoyed this movie, and even though she was the weakest part of the plot for me, I still like these elements of the plot because it gives you another side of Axel Foley that we've never seen before. But Eddie Murphy steals the show. He's on top form. He did a fantastic job as Axel Foley once again. I love the fact this was majority of it, if not all of it, was practical effects. I loved how it had the 80s ropes tied in there. It felt perfect. It felt like it's just slipped right in there and that it hadn't missed a beat. And there's even been talks of a fifth Beverly Hills Cop. And if there is a fifth film, I hope they bring back the same writers, the same producers, even the same director because who did I say directed this? And I believe the director of this, it was his first ever movie. Mark Molloy is the director, and this, and I think for his first attempt of a movie, especially the pressures of doing what you consider the legacy sequel and bringing back an old favorite and bringing back Eddie Murphy and Axel Foley, he's done a reasonably good job, if not a great job. And so, yes, I thoroughly enjoy this, and I hope if they do a fifth one, they keep the same director, writers, and producers, and it has the same feel, tones, and keeps with the practical action, the great script, and the comedy element work perfectly in this. And I would even welcome back all of the cast, even Tanya Page, who played the daughter. I would even welcome her back and expand on that plot even more. Bring back Rosewood, obviously, bring back Taggart, bring them all back. But yes, a great film, a surprise that, you know, I was originally rolling my eyes at, but it's really surprises and turned out to be better than I expected. So if I had to rate Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F, I would rate this 8 out of 10. I rated Bad Boys for Life 7 out of 10 because I liked that movie. There's still things that I thought were missing, and it still, you know, had things that kind of didn't live up to my expectations or could have been done better. This, though, however, was a total wonderful surprise that I had no hope in, but now it's really lived up and, you know, blew us away. So 8 out of 10, I think, is a fair rating for Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. And I hope, like I say, if there is more Axel Foley in the future, bring back the same cast, bring back the same writers, bring back the same director, and let's see what you can do for a fifth time. But what's your opinion of Beverly Hills Cop Axel F? Did you enjoy it? Were you not impressed? Were you disappointed? Would you like to see Eddie Murphy back for a fifth time, who never missed a beat and just went straight into this role, like, you know, he had just put on a pair of slippers and was walking around comfortably. That's how I felt he did in this role. Would you like to see him back? Let me know. But until then, keep loving your movies, keep loving your television, and I'll catch us all at the next one.